All right, you shot a lot at me right there.
Okay.
Let me try to go back through it.
Sure.
It takes zero talent to bet against Brock Purdy. It takes zero skill level to have bet against Brock Purdy at the day he was drafted. Okay? Of course, he's Mr. Irrelevant. That never works out. He's not in a situation that even with the fantastic start, that offseason, he's having surgery. It suggests that this won't be a leap forward offseason for him. Betting against Brock Purdy took no talent at all. It was easy to do that. It's also easier to admit, had you bet against him, that you might have been wrong about that, because these aren't just suggestions of data points. These aren't just little bits of statistics. This isn't a game or two. This isn't a flash. There is a sustained level of performance that we're getting from him over the course of a full regular season in terms of starts split over 2 regular seasons. And it's something else. It's something else. Here's something that you might have missed, Larry. I don't know if you saw this one. I saw it in the Nick Wagner write-up yesterday.
Nick does a great job, by the way, for ESPN.com.
Yes, he does. And this was pretty darn interesting. He pulled out a little football encyclopedia and came up with this one. But just the facts, okay? His 5 interceptions are tied for the second fewest among starters. His 9.7 yards per attempt are the second most through 10 games in NFL history among players with a minimum of 250 attempts. He's keeping company with Boomer Esiason in 1988, Dan Marino in 1984, Aaron Rodgers in 2011. And at that rate, all 3 of those seasons for Boomer, Marino, and Aaron Rodgers went on to be MVP seasons for all 3 of those quarterbacks. So we're talking about some of the great seasons ever played in quarterbacking, just legend. And Brock Purdy is doing that in year 2. It wasn't year 2 for Marino, Boomer, or Aaron Rodgers, by the way, in any of those years. It wasn't year 2 that they were doing that. So to try to deny this guy is just means you're cheap and you don't want to buy the flowers. I mean, that's it. That's all. That's to not be able to hand this guy a bouquet of compliments means you don't even know who you're buying flowers for or what holiday it is. Like you're making shit up at this point. You're coming up with reasons to pretend what the rest of us are seeing that we aren't really seeing it. So it takes no talent at all to have bet against him. It should take even less talent to admit that you were wrong in that bet, but the untalented are galactically untalented all the way around. That's just how it goes. Brock Purdy, with a passer rating of 158.3, he joins Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson and then Rams quarterback Jared Goff as the only quarterbacks under the age of 24 in NFL history to attain this passer rating. Goff is having a much better year than anyone would have bet on him having in Detroit, and the Lions are very good. Lamar has already won an MVP, and, Brock is just keeping the, most elite of elite statistical company. He is, when you look around this league. The other thing, coming back to the belief in Brock in that Eagles game, I'm totally on board. I think that you are right that they were not trying to disrespect Philadelphia, but they basically said we had to play an NFC championship game with 2 hands tied behind our back. It was hard to do. Wasn't really a fair fight the minute Josh Johnson is checking in and pissing down his own leg. So, they're direct snapping to Christian McCaffrey in that game. It was the worst possible scenario that could have befell the 49ers in the NFC title game. And the other thing, the last thing, and this is all reacting to what you just threw at me, when you said how, Kittle, they love Garoppolo, and they really like Jimmy, and that's our guy, and they would wear T-shirts of each other, and that was all buddy. You know who wasn't buddy with Jimmy Garoppolo? Trent Williams. Trent Williams, he liked Garoppolo. He didn't dislike Jimmy Garoppolo, but Trent didn't come here to do anything other than play better football and win. And he's like the first among the veterans to be like, dude, this third string kid that I've never even heard of is pretty damn good. There's the famous story of Brock Purdy hearing Trent Williams compliment him walking off a practice field. And that was one of the first real shots of confidence that Brock Purdy ever had in his NFL career. Like, damn, Trent Williams thinks I'm pretty good. That's a good start. So
did you see Trent's comment going into this game?
No.
He said, talking about Brock, he said, it's like taking him 206, taking Brock.
Oh, yeah, it's like the Powerball.
262. It's like playing the lottery and hitting the Powerball when it's at $2 billion. By the way, Damon, Brock Purdy coming into yesterday was the number one quarterback in QBR, which is the ESPN all-encompassing quarterback stat, behind an offensive line that ranked 22nd in the NFL in pass block win rate. So he's not operating behind the league's best line, and yet he's the number one quarterback in QBR. And by the way, the last quarterback, the last Niner quarterback to have a perfect passer rating was 1989. I was a freshman at Sacramento State in 1989. I'm now 53 and have 2 kids in near grad school.
Yeah, I was 14 years old.
Exactly. It's been a while. And there are still people that always want to dangle this and that. And the latest dangling thing is, hey, yeah, but his passer rating in the fourth quarter when the Niners were trying to put this game away was 82.6. And until he shows that he can play at a high level in that fourth quarter in a tight game and win it against a good team, he's not going to check that box. Okay. If you want to die on that hill, die on that hill. Some people want to die on the hill of hey, you know what? He can't beat he can't win a Super Bowl. All right, you want to die on that hill? Die on that hill.
I haven't played in one yet.
I get a feeling that those days are coming for both of those things. That both of those boxes will get checked with this quarterback. And if you want to wait to check them until it actually happens, God bless you. But we just, it's like when I said on the radio last summer while I was filling in, I said, this guy's Brock Purdy's the real deal. And I got so many people who were scoffing. Okay, all right. Here we go. Krug's always obsessed with the esoteric, and he always loves the practice squad guys, and Krug. And the guys scoffed, and I won't name them because they're good guys, but they scoffed and they were like, "Oh yeah, right, Brock Purdy, yeah." And then I tweeted last summer, I go, next year the battle at quarterback will be between Trey Lance and Brock Purdy, and not Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. I was like, yeah, right. I got that one on my timeline. The comments are all like, you're an idiot, you're a fool, you're a jackass. So you know what? It's an unlikely thing, but to me, what clinched it was when I met the guy and talked to him, and he had I interviewed Tom Brady on the Stanford practice field during the East-West Shrine game practices the year he came out in 1999. And Damon, I swear to God, I've interviewed Russell Wilson. I've interviewed Drew Brees. I got deja vu. I got elite quarterback deja vu interviewing Brock Purdy in the Niner locker room his rookie year in training camp, or right after the end of training camp, like week 1. That unbelievably humble, really polite, aw shucks, nice guy, but that simmering, I will cut your throat to beat you. I live for football and to win football games. And it's like all in one, quarterback cocktail. It's like, wow, that guy seemed really humble and nice. But you know what? That guy's a killer. He's a stone cold killer, and you could tell. Same thing with Tom Brady. Gives you the aw shucks and the this and that. Russell Wilson's like that. Drew Brees is like that. Oh, we're just here. We're just happy to be here. But these guys had this simmering, boiling confidence of, I'm going to win. I'm damn good. I don't care what you think about me. I know what I think about myself. This is not your career. This is my career, and I'm going to make it happen. You just go watch. I got that same vibe. And here we are. I knew he was going to be good. I didn't know he was going to be this good. And he's just been phenomenal. And I think if you're a 49er fan, they got to build up their line. I don't know if they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. They got to build up their offensive line. I don't know if Spencer Burford is good enough at right guard. I don't know if Jake Moody is going to make the kick with money on the line. I don't know if they can stop the run in 5, 6, 7 weeks when Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner are more beat up and more injured and more tired. I don't know. I don't know if they can get by without Talanoa Fonga and win a Super Bowl with a rookie safety who's impressive, but we'll talk about him. But there's a lot of unknowns. I don't know if they have good enough coverage, but I know they got the right quarterback, and I know that they're going to have several chances to win said Super Bowl in the next whatever period of time, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, whatever it is. They've got their quarterback position and their head coach position right. And that's where winning a Super Bowl really starts. And then it's about, the other pieces of the puzzle. And we'll see if Lynch and Peters and the personnel department have enough skill to surround their head coach and their quarterback with the pieces it's going to take. But let's not debate the quarterback anymore. Let's start focusing on the other issues that could prevent this team from winning a Super Bowl.
Look, I want to get into the nuts and bolts of that game too. I know that Thursday's coming quick, but we should enjoy this win over Tampa Bay. There's some really interesting football to be talked about, and we'll get into the nuts and bolts of the game as we continue. But just to kind of put a bow on our celebration day Purdy, as we open up this episode of 49ers Wake Up, he's all we've talked about for the first half hour. Larry, I don't know. Again, this is one of the strengths you and I have as broadcasters is we're willing to admit, like, I don't know what any of this means, but I'm just trying to gather it and trying to figure it out. The choice between physical gifts and hard work to get there is becoming easier for me to make that choice. And I think I'll take the guy with the hard work. You know what I mean? Pardon me, I just frog in my throat. There are some guys, especially in high school and then in college, who just have these level of physical talents that separate them from college players and real, are you better than everyone else on the football field today? Because of physical gifts, the answer is yes, I am. And God bless you if that's the situation you're in. You hit the genetic lottery. You were born with a body that was just preordained to have a real shot at a professional career. And your physical gifts, whenever you can take the physical gifts and wrap them into the work ethic that comes with the guy that doesn't have the physical gifts, that's when Patrick Mahomes happens, right? That's when the best of 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 the best and easy to see and easy to bet on all come down the pipe at the same time. There's something to be said for the kid who didn't have the body to get recruited to the elite school that is on a football field where he's not the best football player, but he is responsible for elevating the talent level of everyone else around him by how he plays and the choices that he makes. There's something to be said for the underestimated kid who has to be twice as cerebral, prepare twice as hard. And I'm not saying that the physical gift guy gets to mail it in, but sometimes someone with physical gifts just says, I got this. I got this. I don't need another practice rep here. I don't need another day in the weight room. I'm physically better than all these guys as it is. Then you get to the NFL and you find out quickly, everyone here is an absolute fucking stud. Everyone, not some of the guys. Everyone on this football field is the single best football player I have ever seen. That's what the NFL is. And that's when guys who just have physical gifts can no longer win with only their physical gifts. And that's when a guy like Brock Purdy gets underrated.
Who was recruited to Alabama, by the way, and only stayed at Iowa State out of loyalty to committing to Iowa State first. How about that?
So that to me is a part of the mental makeup it takes between, are you a real man or do you just jump to best opportunity to best opportunity? Real men stick out commitments and loyalty and honor the contracts they signed and all the stuff that your grandfather used to preach about. There is an element to, I've committed to this, I'm going to see it through, that I respect so much more than the kid who transfers because I don't have the amount of playing time that I'm comfortable with. Like, I respect the hell out of that. I really do. And I'm not saying that I totally disrespect the kid that transfers, but to me,
I kind of do.
The kid who, no, I mean, it's an individual case by case basis in a lot of instances, but the kid who sticks it through, to me, always gets the wink and the smile and that way to go, kid. Like that to me is, that's who I want my sons to be. As a father raising two sons, I want my kids to be the kids who honor contracts, even if it might not be benefiting them. If you've agreed to it, you do it. That's like that to me, that matters.